Hello, I'm Greg Solomon. Now, folks, this is my reply to the card and package that Mr. Renetto left on my mailbox. As promised, I'm giving a video reply. If you hear any snorting in the background, it's from my Boston Terrier, who is over to my right. Be that as it may, let's get on with this video. First, let me say that I haven't been on YouTube lately because I've had irons in the fire. That would be a subject for another video, but just to suffice it to say, I've had irons in the fire. And now the irons have been struck all while they're hot, and they're all taken care of. And so I'm fully able to make videos now, unencumbered. But let's get to the, and one more thing. I read a couple things on the internet and on YouTube that Greg Solomon had a stroke and Greg Solomon had a, no. Greg Solomon, as you can see, is in perfect condition, perfect physical health. Might I add, I have the genetics and the immune system that are very similar to the genetics and immune system that Keith Richards has. So, no, don't worry about that. Greg Solomon is in perfect health. Now, as I said, Mr. Renetto, as I said in my comment under his video, he did catch me off guard with the package, well, a card that he left, and the balloons that he left. Did catch me off guard. I noticed them right away as soon as I came around the corner of my house to take my dogs out. And I noticed, and one more thing. Some of you people might be saying, well, wait a minute, Greg, this was a Halloween card and Halloween balloons, and you're a little late because now it's November. Well, not so fast, folks. Not so fast. Those actually weren't Halloween balloons. If you look at those balloons as he's driving in his van to my house, you will see that they say Day of the Dead. And look at the colors on those balloons. When I saw those balloons, I thought, well, geez, those sort of look Mexican. What type of colors that Mexicans or even Aztecs from way back then would use? And sure enough, that's what it is. Those balloons, Day of the Dead, are representative of a Mexican day of observance. And I had that verified to me by a genuine Mexican. I have some Mexicans that live here in my neighborhood within very close proximity to me. And I was talking to the daughter of the guy that owns the house, and he owns a Mexican restaurant here in town. Good guy, good family, they're good people. And she verified to me that Day of the Dead is in fact a Mexican observance. Holiday, if you will, but they call it an observance. And it takes place during the first week of November. So no, I'm not late. I'm right on time. Greg Solomon is just as right as rain. Now, the other thing she told me, I said, well then, of course, you or someone in your family must have left these on my mailbox, right? And she said, oh no. She said, my family doesn't observe Day of the Dead. We don't. But I knew one more Mexican guy. He's a contractor. And my neighbors know him too. And she said, oh, I'm sure Lee must have left it. I said, well, of course. Of course, that's who left it. Who else would leave a Mexican balloons for a Mexican day of observance other than a Mexican? I mean, just stands to reason. So I texted Lee on my phone and asked him about it, and he said, no, it wasn't me. Well now, Now we go on to phase 2 of this. The envelope was addressed to Mr. Greg Solomon, not just Greg Solomon or even Gregory Solomon, but specifically Mr. Greg Solomon. And it just so happens that Mr. Greg Solomon is actually my address on Twitter for my Twitter account. And as many of you know, that if you're on Twitter, you can get shouted down quite easily if you have the wrong opinion or if you're reading from the wrong script. Well, at least until Mr. Elon Musk recently bought Twitter and has opened up free speech. But there's a specific thing that's going on nowadays where some people on the other side who don't like what you say will shout you down or possibly beat you up if they catch you, provided it's 5 against 1, not 1-on-1. And so I started thinking, plus the envelope. And allow me to show you the envelope. I have it contained here in a steel box. And now that I know what it is, I will open it up. And I'll show you something. Notice the large amount of tape on the envelope, right? Especially on the back of the envelope. Now, I know that a lot of tape like that, odd tape that not Scotch tape that you might see because a flap is coming up, but an odd piece of tape, a wide piece of tape on the back of an envelope, especially 2 or 3 pieces of it. It's very indicative in a very easy way to recognize a possible letter bomb. Seriously. You can look that up on the internet. Now you probably ask yourselves, well, Greg, how in the heck did you know that? When you looked at an envelope, before you deposited it in that box, how did you know that that was one of the cardinal signs of a possible letter bomb? Well, all I can say is that the ability to detect the signs of a suspected letter bomb is just one of a variety of subjects of which I'm quite knowledgeable. Just information that I've picked up over the years. Plus, I have a high degree of situational awareness. Plus, I'm blessed with a pretty good degree of the facility of logic. And so, I decided if I was going to err, I would err on the side of caution. In other words, I had this cash box, or whatever you want to call it, strong box, whatever. I have 2 of these in my basement, and this one had the thickest metal on it. This is square business. This had the thickest metal. I thought, well, if this is possibly a letter bomb, and is very suspicious with the tape on the back, very, very suspicious, I thought I would deposit it in a steel box, close the box, keep it out on my carport until I got to the bottom of this situation, until I knew where exactly this came from, because this was very suspicious for a possible letter bomb. So I decided if I was going to err, I would err on the side of caution. Now, how much damage could a letter bomb do? Well, it's not going to blow you to bits. Of course not. It's not like a pipe bomb that can be put in a box. It's in an envelope. And they put the tape on the back of it, the heavy pieces of tape, because it's a small thing that fits in there. It's kind of rectangular, and it's got a flap on it. And then when you open the envelope up, the flap comes up and it explodes. So they put the tape on it to make sure the flap stays down. So if that flap came up and exploded, no, it most likely wouldn't have. Well, it wouldn't have killed me. I mean, it's not enough unless I put my face right down in it. But notice You notice my hands, you notice how fluid the fingers are. Notice how the movements are fluid. Notice how when I grab my pipe, see that? See those fluid movements? Well, if I would have opened that up and had it been a letter bomb, instead of reaching up for my pipe with these fluid fingers and flexible movements of my fingers, I would be reaching up with a handful of stubs to grab my pipe. So you see what I'm saying? So I decided if I'm going to err, I would err on the side of caution. Therefore, I deposited that envelope into holding it by the ribbons to which the balloons were attached, delicately placed it in the metal box, took a pair of scissors, which I had already brought out in the carport with me in my pocket, clipped the ribbons, and then closed the box. So now it's contained. And now this brings us up to Saturday evening. I was out on the internet surfing on my laptop, no particular reason, looking at some different things, some UFC stuff, some Joe Rogan stuff, whatever. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, it just popped into my head to check out Renetto's channel. Just out of the blue. I haven't been out to Renetto's channel in a while, but for some reason, it just popped into my head. And I thought, yeah, let's see if he's put anything, because I knew he had a dry spell there. I don't know how long it was, but back when I had checked it a while back, it's like he hadn't made any videos, so he was having a dry spell. And that was quite a while ago. So I went out and checked it, and the first thing I saw was him in his van. It's like a screenshot or a thumbnail with those same balloons. So I knew right then. And there it was. There it was. Mystery solved. Now you say, Greg, well, why did that pop into your head? Well, I don't know. I don't know. All I can say is this. If you've ever seen, it's analogous to this. If you've ever seen the movie Unforgiven, the Clint Eastwood movie where he plays Will Money, and after he has that gunfight in that saloon, and Mr. Beaucamp, who is the writer, he goes, my God, you shot 5 men. You killed 5 men single-handed. He said, yeah. He said, well, who was first? What order did you do it in? And Will Money says, I was lucky in the order. Of course, I've always been lucky when it comes to killing folk. Well, in the same way, I've always been lucky when it comes to figuring things out and getting to the bottom of things. Even if it takes a fluke or some weird thing happening, I somehow always get to the bottom of it and figure it out. And so that's what happened with this. It's just one of those things. Saturday night, I saw that, and right away, I knew what it was. And, quiet. My rescue dog over here is whining a little bit. Hold on, let me, please allow me till I've got a gate here by the hallway so they can't come in. I'm going to let the rescue dog come in with my Boston so she doesn't whine. I'll be with you in just a second. Get in here and stop your whining. She's been well fed, she's been out, she's just whining because she wants to be out here because she hears me talking, I suppose. So anyways, so that's why I hadn't opened it for all these days, and that's why it's been in this box, this metal box. And I think now is also a good time to say that when I went out there Saturday night and I saw Mr. Renetto's video, before I get to this, I'll open this up in just a second. I saw Mr. Renetto's video. Well, I took the liberty of looking at a few of his other videos. Because, as I said, he had had a dry spell in a while and hadn't been out there in a while. And also I was thinking, well, gee, it would be kind of nice, seeing as how Mr. Renetto found my home address, I could find his home address, and then I would send something to him, see? You know, the worm turns. I could do the same thing. However, Mr. Renetto circumvents that completely because he actually posts his address right on his YouTube channel. So it just circumvents me even looking for it. But after I looked at a few of Mr. Renetto's videos, and I haven't looked at all of them, but I've looked at a few of them, I see why he's posted his address. His complete address he's posted. He might even have his phone number, but I know he's posted his address. I haven't checked all of his videos, but I checked one from a few months ago, and I noticed that he was cavorting with a young female that he had met up with, which tells me that things must have changed drastically in the Renetto household, from what I remember. And then recently, a recent video, and I haven't checked all of his videos, but I'm going to check more. I'm going to get to the bottom of this and see what the heck is going on. But recently I see, in the recent videos, he's cavorting now with another young woman. Now both of these young women are what would probably could colloquially be described as babes. These women are quite a bit younger than Mr. Renetto. Quite a bit. These women appear to be, both of them, I would probably say, in their 30s, which is right in the, of course, right in the prime of womanhood. And so I think Mr. Renetto puts his address up, and that way he makes himself more accessible, say, to women in his location. They see his videos, they have his address right there, and so I think that's one of the main reasons he posts his address out there. Of course, that's not something I would do, but obviously you can't argue with the results. I mean, I've seen his video clips, I've seen the young women he's cavorting with, and as I said, they're quite a bit younger than him. Quite a bit younger, Mr. Renetto. Yeah, no. I'm not casting any aspersions on Mr. Renetto for cavorting with women much younger than him, women in the prime of their womanhood, in their 30s, nor am I criticizing him. And I'm certainly not envious of him being able to cavort with these babes that are in their 30s. Not envious at all. But I'm just saying that that is why I believe his address is out there. Well, that, and plus he gets gifts mailed to him. Probably half of them by young women. So anyways, let's get to this. Here is the box, and that's exactly why. Like I said, I erred on the side of caution. I put this, you can see the ribbons are in here. As I cut the envelope, cut the ribbons from the envelope. This is what alerted me. Always remember this for future reference, people. This is a cardinal sign of a letter bomb. This is exactly what it looks like. Well, different color tape, but with a lot of tape, excessive tape on the back. So you people, knowing that I'm a logical person and have a high degree of situational awareness, I don't think any of you would expect anything less than me putting this into a secure lockbox and completely isolating it until I got to the bottom of it. But now I'm going to open it, as I said I would do, because now I know it's not a letter bomb. course, as Mr. Renetto read it on the day that he delivered it, and I'll read it again. Dear Greg Solomon, from your many fans around the world, you've been very missed. Come back and say hi, which I'm doing right now. Please, 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 regards, YouTube and we. Hope it's sweet and a fun Halloween. Although the balloons were definitely indicative of a Mexican day of observance, the Day of the Dead. But be that as it may. And know that we will be thinking of you. Indeed. And I am thinking of you. And that's why I made this video. And I shall be making more videos in the future. As I said, there were certain things going on, irons in the fire. I struck those irons while they were hot, as you have to do, and now those irons are out of the way. Everything is taken care of, and so I'm free to make videos once again, as I was doing before. And so periodically I will make those videos and upload them, but I wanted to upload this one now in response to this. And Mr. Renetto, I have to say, oh, and one more thing. When I was watching the video, I noticed Mr. Renetto in his van as he's driving. He's saying, yeah, I got this envelope and I got these balloons. And I saw 3 balloons, and I thought, there were only 2 balloons attached to my mailbox, and yet he has 3 balloons. So I'm starting to think maybe some young teenage rapscallion came by and took one of my balloons off the mailbox. But then I noticed, as I kept watching Mr. Renetto's video, that in fact what happened is Mr. Renetto, as he's driving 40 to 45 miles per hour down the highway, he decided to take 3 helium balloons and hold them towards the open window of his car, at which point physics took over. He's lucky he saved any of them. He only managed to lose one of the balloons. He almost lost the whole thing. So anyways, but I appreciate it, Mr. Renetto, and everybody, and I appreciate it, and I will be uploading more videos in the very near future. You can count on that. Greg Solomon is alive and well, and I shall be uploading more videos in the future. You shall be seeing more of me shortly. Until then, this is Greg Solomon saying take care.